So when we first got there, like off the plane, it was ridiculously hot, just crazy. I think more than we even expected it to be. But then the first practice was actually not that bad. And so that kind of like threw us off our guard a little bit. I feel like we expected it to be hotter. So guys really weren't as tired. But then the next day it was hot again. So yeah, it's just a lot different than here. Obviously being out there like in the desert, just that landscape, everything in Vegas is just always hot. Yeah, I think the joint practices are always really beneficial. Just being able to, like you said, go against a different team with different players and different schemes and everything like that. So being out there for those 2 practices, I feel like helped us a lot. We got to kind of really see where we were at as a unit, as a defense, and as a team. And so I thought that was really helpful. And then obviously going into preseason games, it always gets you ready for that too. Yeah, I mean, I think there's always like good and bad. When you have joint practices, good stuff, that you do well, that you felt like really good about, and then some stuff that you obviously can clean up, that you can kind of see through any practice really, but kind of just gets magnified, I would say, versus another team, just because we don't really know their scheme that well. It's kind of just going off, playing our rules, playing our techniques to the best that we can. But if they do stuff a little bit different, then, we can kind of see where the holes are at. So we got to be able to do that through those 2 days as well. I feel like my approach to the preseason games are pretty much the same as when I was younger. Like probably my first 2 years, I was probably like a little more nervous for them, I guess you could say, which is kind of natural. I mean, rookies, that's your first NFL game, that first preseason game. But the approach to it, pretty much all the same. I mean, we try to just treat each game like it is a game. Preseason, regular season, whatever it may be. I mean, it's still an NFL game. You still have to go out there and prepare that way to be able to play your best. I've heard, what they say about the faithful and how they travel and how they're just everywhere. But I don't think I really ever experienced it firsthand like that. So that was really, really cool, especially there in Vegas. There was a lot of stuff that we were able to do well. I feel like we didn't really have too many mental errors, which is kind of something that you look for in the first preseason game, just because it's, like I said, the first game and guys kind of get out of position and things like that. But I feel like in terms of the scheme and everything, guys were able to play their spots and play their positions really well. And it's usually just more of the tackling, maybe some of the technique stuff that usually has to get cleaned up out of those first couple preseason games. Each game gets that much more important because, the next one's going to be the real one, the real thing. So just kind of fine-tuning, anything that you need to fine-tune, just getting better, mastering your techniques, making sure that you know what to do on every play, how to play against different offenses, different looks and things like that. And I feel like kind of as a defense, we were able to do that, kind of getting better each game as we went through. So I feel like it sets us up well for week 1. Yeah, it's just being more comfortable. I think it's really the biggest thing, and that's kind of just the one thing that can always needs to improve kind of as the season goes along. And should improve as the season goes along. Just being more comfortable, understanding where I'm supposed to be, how I'm supposed to fit within the defense. And so that's kind of like the biggest thing. And I feel like I was able to do that over the 3 games, progressively getting better at that.